In a world filled with gear, gadgets and endless options, it's easy to believe that survival depends on how much you carry. More tools, more supplies, more equipment, more security. But history tells a very different story. Some of the toughest men who ever lived survived not because they had everything, but because they learned to live with almost nothing. During wartime, soldiers were often forced into situations where supplies were limited, equipment was lost, and resupply was uncertain. In those moments, survival didn't depend on abundance. It depended on simplicity, discipline, and clarity of thought. This is where the minimalist survival philosophy was born, not as a choice, but as a necessity. At its core, this philosophy is built on a powerful idea. You don't need more. You need to use less, better. The first principle of minimalist survival is eliminating dependence on excess. When people rely too heavily on gear, they become vulnerable when that gear is no longer available. Soldiers quickly learned that equipment could break, get lost, or become unusable. Those who depended entirely on tools struggled when those tools disappeared. In contrast, those who focused on basic skills, like building shelter, finding water, and navigating terrain, remained effective even with minimal equipment. This mindset shifts the focus from what you have to what you know. Knowledge becomes your most valuable asset because it cannot be lost or taken away. The second principle is prioritizing only what truly matters. In survival situations, not all needs are equal. Some are critical, while others are just distractions. The minimalist approach, you see, forces you to identify what is essential: water, shelter, food, and safety. During long patrols or extended operations, soldiers often carried only what they needed to survive and function. Extra weight slowed them down, drained energy, and, made movement more difficult. By reducing unnecessary items, they became more mobile, more efficient, and honestly better able to respond to changing conditions. Another key aspect of minimalist survival is, efficiency in action. When resources are limited, every action must serve a purpose. There is simply no room for waste, whether it's time, energy, or supplies. Minimalist survival also emphasizes adaptability. When you carry less, you're forced to rely more on your environment. This encourages you to observe, learn, and, adapt to your surroundings. Another important principle is mental clarity. Clutter, whether physical or mental, can slow decision-making and create confusion. When you carry too much gear or try to manage too many tasks, your focus becomes divided. Minimalist survival also teaches the value of discipline. Using less requires control. It means resisting the urge to consume resources quickly or rely on convenience. It requires planning, patience, and careful decision-making. Another powerful lesson is mobility over comfort. Comfort can be tempting, especially in difficult conditions. But in survival situations, staying mobile is often more important than staying comfortable. Finally, minimalist survival reinforces the idea that resilience comes from within. Tools can help, but they are not the foundation of survival. The real foundation is your mindset, your skills, and your ability to remain calm under pressure. You know, the men who survived with the least often proved to be the most capable. It's because, well, they relied on themselves rather than any sort of external support. The minimalist survival philosophy, well, it's not about rejecting tools or preparation. It's really about understanding that more is not always better. In a world that, often encourages excess, this philosophy offers a different path, one built on simplicity, efficiency, and self-reliance. And perhaps the most important lesson it offers is this: when everything else is stripped away, your ability to survive depends not on what you have, but on how well you can think, adapt, and act. If you value practical survival knowledge and the timeless lessons learned through real experience, be sure to subscribe to the channel and share this video with someone who understands that true strength comes not from having more, but from needing less.